Welcome to this episode of Trojan Poetry. This is part 2 of a 3-part series of poems by the poet Chen Chen, whose book, When I Grow Up, I Want to Be a List of Further Possibilities, came out in 2017. So if you haven't watched the previous episode, go back and check that one out, and stick around for the next one. This one is called West of Schenectady, and you can actually find a link to him reading the poem himself. So we'll put that down in the description along with
So if you don't like John's version, go to the original.
I understand.
Yeah.
All right, West of Schenectady. The sun sets like a whispered regret behind the hills, or is that a mountain? Moths come to the screen door as if that was what they were made for. Moth for screen door and vice versa. I don't have time for their secrets tonight. I am making my loneliness small, so small it fits on a postcard a baby rabbit could eat. The sun sets like an expensive fragrance, like the memory of a neck. The coyotes come, but don't they know I've named that rabbit? Stay away. Stay far. The sun sets like a new regret, like a flute I am learning to play and I'm bad at it. Progress is slow. It's like saying tapioca pudding into the phone, and the phone doesn't work. I just want its weight pressed against my ear until my ear is sticky. I'm in the mood for facts, big globs of them, big adult rabbits of science. There's a town in upstate New York called Esperance, where the gravity works fine. Esperance, New York, as if hope in French is a higher quality hope, made of jewels and brie. The sun sets like a science special I hated once.
So I think I'm starting to notice a little bit of a pattern in Chen Chen's style from the last poem to this one, where he mentions something and then almost stream of conscious wise, he continues that thought, you know, into the next part. So he starts off with the moths and he continues with that, and then he talks about he's making his loneliness small, which I found was the central idea of this poem. He's sitting there by himself, the sun's setting, he's feeling lonely, and he's trying to cope with that. And then he mentions the baby rabbit eating the postcard, and then later on he comes back to that rabbit. You know, the coyotes come and name that rabbit, stay away. And then he mentions rabbits, big adult rabbits of science. And then at the end, he mentions a science special. So it's almost like if you can latch on to those little, you know, signposts as he's dropping a stream of consciousness, you can make more sense of where he's going with it. But I thought that idea of making my loneliness small was really important. And then I also noticed he uses a lot of similes in this poem over and over to talk about the sun setting. So I don't know what you noticed.
My reaction was, again, I just find the imagery, the imagery very interesting and very provocative in that it provokes kind of a mysterious, right, not provocative, controversial, but it's very evocative, might be a better word.
Yeah, there you go.
And funny. So like when he says in the middle of the poem, it's like saying tapioca pudding into the phone. Like
that's such an interesting thing
Yeah.
to be,
I don't know if I've
do.
ever said tapioca pudding into the phone,
and
but
who's listening at the other end?
right.
That's what
Why
I
would
wanna
you
know.
say it? And then what got me was, and the phone doesn't work.
Right.
I just want its weight pressed against my ear until my ear is sticky. And like growing up with the old-fashioned phones where you had the heavy piece and you would sit there with it on your ear, and it was like this kind of weird, surreal element immediately anchored to something very real. And that's what I really like about this. So like when he says, the sun sets like an expensive fragrance, like, okay, I get that, right? It's very kind of pretty. And then like the memory of a neck.
Oh, I was going to talk about that. Well, let's talk about it. What the heck does that mean? What the heck does like a memory of a neck mean?
So you put perfume on a neck.
Right. And so it flows from the previous simile into that one. And I was thinking it had to do with a relationship, you know, that he was remembering someone, and that's part of his loneliness. And that part that you just mentioned about the tapioca pudding in the phone, again, trying to get rid of his loneliness. He's got the phone up as if he's having a conversation, but it's just him.
Right.
And maybe he's the one who thinks tapioca pudding is a good thing to say into the phone.
Well, and then he says after until my ear is sticky, I'm in the mood for facts. Right? He's trying maybe to anchor himself, and he's trying to get like the sun is setting, but then he keeps looping back to kind of similes and
Yeah, these images.
Right,
Yeah,
this
he's
kind of-
trying to stay out of his mind and get back to the reality here.
right,
in a
and
way.
even the name of it. I really liked as if hope in French is a higher quality hope made of jewels and brie. I was like, again, very concrete, jewels and brie. Okay, I get it. That totally is French to me.
Yeah.
But then that hope somehow is that. I don't know. The sunset's like a science special I hated once. So again, science, this idea of reality.
And the idea of Esperance, where the gravity works fine. So again, pull me down back to Earth, get me out of these images in my head,
I think
and
we
pull
did
me
it.
back to reality. What?
I think
You think we
kind of-
actually figured it out?
I think I think we've got the underlying structure. And I didn't
In a
when I
way.
walked in. Really.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. But I guess he is like the moth, right? So he's like a moth drawn to the screen door. And the screen door is like the two intertwined. Like reality is the screen door and he's the moth maybe.
And can't get through,
Right.
but they're made for each other.
Right.
So just like he's trying to get through the images that he's put down on the page and stay concrete and grounded, he can't quite get there, you know?
I feel so much better now about this
Yeah,
plan.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Chen Chen and see if we're, if we're on the right track here. All right, so thanks for watching. Please join the conversation in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter at Trojan Poetry DGN. Also, check out our website at trojanpoetrydgn.blogspot.com.